Why hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today we are starting a new series here on the channel. I want to get my Animal Crossing New Horizons save as close to 100% completed as I can by the end of 2022. So every month I want to make a video where we work towards achieving this. Now before we get into actually what we got done during this episode, I should probably outline how I interpret 100%ing New Horizons. Primarily, I want to complete my Critterpedias and my entire museum. Then I want to collect all the recipes for all the golden tools. Then my next goal is to have completed as many of the Nook Mile achievements as I can. I won't be stupidly focused on this, however, as I do believe that some of them are arbitrarily massive to complete, but getting as many of them done as I can would be great. Collecting as many of the DIY recipes as I can along the way would also be ideal. I am not going to be focusing on collecting every single item in the game. I'm just not that interested in doing that. What I am really interested to know, however, if you have quote-unquote completed your island or 100%ed your island. If so, how far have you got with it? How far are you going with this process? Are you just trying to complete your museum? Or are you maybe going much further than I am and trying to collect all the furniture, all the KK songs, everything? Let me know in the comments down below. Before we get into actually talking about what we achieved in today's episode, I'll also really quickly give you a very brief overview of how far along my island already is, because if you're new to my channel you might not know, but this is the same save that I have had since I first booted up the game on March the 20th, 2020. So I've got a good amount of stuff done. I've already knocked out the lower levels of quite a few of the Nook Mile achievements. I've also filled out most of my Critterpedia, but I still have a couple of the more rarer bugs and stuff to go, so we're going to be definitely working towards that. My sea creature section has definitely been neglected, so we do a lot of work towards that, particularly in this episode. As for DIYs, I don't have many of the new ones which came in with the 2.0 update, particularly thinking about the food recipes. I have collected some of the golden tool recipes already, such as the slingshot and the watering can. I earned those myself in game. I did, however, get the golden fishing rod from a competition that I won on Discord a while ago. However, I still will be trying to collect that recipe for myself. I have also already completed the fossil section of my museum. My art section still has a long way to go, so using red at Halves Island will be a massive help during this. I'm sure I've forgotten some stuff, but if I remember it, I will let you guys know as we go throughout this episode and throughout the course of this entire series. But with that said, let's actually get started on today's episode. So the first thing I did was participate once in the winter fishing tournament to get the Nook Miles achievement. Now I only have to attempt the autumn fishing tournament before I've done them all, so that will be at least one Nook Mile achievement which I'll be able to cross off the list. Then a few days later it was Maddie's birthday, so I went to visit her. I gave her a wrapped assessed fossil which I just had floating around my storage, and she was really happy with that. Stitches was also there and he told me a weird ass story about a clown living in his walls. This got me concerned, but also slightly closer to completing the birthday celebration Nook Miles achievement. As Maddie's house is currently located in an absolute cesspit of leftover shrubs, I have a lot of empty space in this area, so I decided to dig up all of the fossil and gyroid spots in the area. I then also grabbed my unassessed fossils from my home storage and gave them to Blathers to be assessed for the Nook Mile achievement. This got me past the 4th tier of this achievement, which is really cool as I surpassed my 400th assessed fossil. Now, in order to complete this whole one, I need to assess 500 fossils in total. When I was talking to Blathers, he said that the museum now sells posters to celebrate completed areas, which is super cool. Did they add this with the 2.0 update, or have I just not spoken to Blathers since I donated my last fossil? As I was here, I also stopped into the Roost for a coffee. It's a small thing, but it's very nostalgic. Then, as I was over this side of the island, I decided to head off for a Capin Island tour. The island that I came across had some carrot plants on it, which was pretty cool. If I hadn't done a lot of grinding to get all my crop seeds, I would have been super happy to find this island. While I was here, I pretty much stripped the whole thing of all of its resources. I stocked up on wood, I picked all of the weeds so I could work towards the Weed Picker Nook Mile achievement, gathered shells to sell to also walk towards that achievement, etc. I also got a food recipe and a bottle, which was pretty cool. After I got back, I dropped off my stuff and headed to the wee cliff pond that I had by my campsite to use the 2 bait bags that I had lurking in my home storage. Unsurprisingly, they did not get me the fish which I was looking for, which is a Popeyed Goldfish. This is the only fish that I have left to catch which is available in January, and I am extremely surprised that I have not already caught this one. So to aid in this quest, I went to the beach to grab more clams to make more bait where I ran into Gulliver. As I was already going to be doing some diving for sea creatures later anyway, I said I'd help him find his handy dandy communicator. While I was on the beach, I ran into Kiki, who was very mad at me because I haven't spoken to her in 2 months, and Antonio, who bought my carp. I want to talk to all of my villagers so I can get the Island Togetherness Nook Mile achievement out of the way. I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely terrible at talking to my villagers. After I went through the arduous process of turning every single one of my clams into bait, I stopped by Marina's house and found that she was cooking. This was a super cool surprise. I didn't know you could run into cooking villagers, but it makes a lot of sense. How else are we meant to get all the new food recipes? Can you tell that I really haven't played all that much of Animal Crossing since the 2.0 update came out? So I spoke to all of my villagers at this point but Nan. I saw her outside of my house earlier that day, but I didn't talk to her, which I was absolutely kicking myself for. And after this distraction, I went back to my house to grab some candy so I could lure some ants. Again, this is another one which I was extremely surprised I had not already caught. While I was waiting for the ants to spawn, I made a mini pond on the ground level of my island, and surprise surprise, within using only 2 pieces of bait I caught the Popeyed Goldfish. I spent more time looking for clams and crafting bait than I did actually fishing for this fish. I checked the candy not long after this and I found the ant, which was really good. Catching these 2 critters was extremely easy when considering the trouble which these sea creatures put me through, because I think the vast amount of time I spent filming this video was spent diving. Most of the creatures I need again to complete my Critterpedia are in the sea critters category, so over the next year we will be doing a lot to complete this. Although I didn't need it to complete my Critterpedia, I did need to donate a Dungeness crab, so I found one of those quite quickly, and while I was looking, I also found the pirate's phone, which I gave back to him. While diving, I also found a scallop, which I traded with Pascal for a pearl. This was the 10th time I'd seen him, so I made progress towards completing that Nook Mile's achievement, which I was really happy about. After diving for a good half an hour or so, I realised that most of the creatures I needed actually came out at night, and the other 1 creature I was looking for could also be found at night, so I skipped forward to hopefully have some more luck then. My patience was slowly dripping away, so I took a break from diving to donate the critters I'd gathered so far and to sell any other ones that I had in my inventory. And holy mother of God, I think I was chasing a lobster for about 10 minutes straight, but I eventually did catch it when I went back to diving. Don't worry, later in this video I actually Google whether there are any techniques for catching the super fast fish in this game, and believe it or not there is, which I was very relieved to hear, so we will get to that later in this video. Not disgustingly long after I caught the lobster, I found the mantis shrimp, and then another one immediately after, so that was another one crossed off the list for today. Then I found a sweet shrimp, which was new to me. I didn't realise this was one that I needed, and I had this same feeling when I got a snow crab not long after. I swear I made a list of all the sea creatures I needed for this video, but I apparently missed a good few. I ended my diving session that night by donating everything I'd caught so far to the museum. The next morning I booted up the game and it was super misty on my island, which with the snow looked really beautiful. I went looking for some fossils and I'm still 99 short of having the 500 fossils assessed for the final stage of the Nook Mile achievement. I went back to diving and it wasn't long before I came across another scallop, which, because it was a new day, I again traded it with Pascal for a pearl. Soon after, I had caught my 250th sea creature, which hit the Nook Mile achievement for me. By this point, I was starting to lose hope in finding an abalone and a sea pig, so after triple checking the wiki to make sure that they were actually available this month, the next creature, funnily enough, was the abalone. Now all I had left was the sea pig, which is super rare and super fast, so my hopes of finding it were steadily decreasing. I thought I'd found a sea pig, but it was just a red king crab. I was chasing it around for a while, and it was at this point that I did Google to see what methods there were for trying to catch the really fast fish. All you have to do is slowly swim above it and then dive directly onto it so it doesn't have a chance to start running away from you. After practicing this technique for about another 20 minutes or so, I finally caught the bloody sea pig. I actually yelled out of joy and excitement because I was so happy when I found it. I headed straight to Blathers to donate the abalone and the sea pig, as well as getting him to assess the fossils I'd found. Then I treated myself to another coffee from Brewster to celebrate all the progress we made during this video. I have a feeling that the first few episodes of this series will be a little bit slow going at first, but I'm hoping that as we get towards the end of the year, there's somewhat of a snowballing effect where we start hitting lots of goals at once. But with that said, I really hope you enjoyed this mix between a challenge video kind of and a day in my life in Animal Crossing video. It was a really nice change of pace to do something different in the game, and I'm super excited for the next month to roll around so we can keep going with this. Again, I'd love to know if you either have or are working towards 100%ing your island in whatever capacity you are doing that to, and again, also what parameters you're using. The beauty of Animal Crossing is that you can play this game however you want. There are no hard and fast rules, it's all just for fun. Anyway, if you have any thoughts or suggestions, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you again soon.